Think Realty Nation, it's your host, Abhi Golhar. Welcome to the Think Realty Podcast. We have a great lineup for you today. We're doing a little market update, and my favorite headline sometimes reads like the following. Average home sellers gains down from the previous quarter. And what does that mean sometimes for us very ominous potential media types? That means that we can use this to draw a conclusion that the real estate market is headed downward. Is it? Is it not? We'll talk about it in just a second and get my thoughts. And then, of course, my guest thoughts. His name is Andre Johnson. He's been an investor for about 20 years. And we're talking about strategic partnerships and how, as a real estate investor, you don't have to do everything yourself. And quite frankly, you meet me in person, I'm 5'5", 120 pounds. I need other people to do other stuff for me. I mean, I'm your total white-collar worker here. I like pushing paper and I like picking up paper. It's easy for me to carry, okay? That's what I'm really trying to say here. And we're also, after we finish with Andre, we will talk a little bit about some of the most costly DIY mistakes that homeowners make. Believe me, I've made some of these mistakes myself, and you don't want to make these mistakes because they can definitely be costly. We'll wrap up the show talking about the 10 best places to live in America, and maybe, a couple of your cities might be topping the list. Let's get to the market update, but I definitely want you to know that this podcast is brought to you by Renters Warehouse, one of the largest, fastest growing, and highest reviewed property management companies in America. So check them out. Go to renterswarehouse.com. Renterswarehouse.com. Great guys over there. Kevin Ortner, Greg Grand, Noel Christopher. We'll have to have them on the show as well sometime here soon. Market update. Average home seller gains down from the previous quarter, up from a year ago, though. U.S. homeowners who sold in the first quarter of 2019 realized an average home price gain since purchase of $57,500, down from an average gain of $60,000. And that was in the last quarter, of 2018. The average home seller gain of $57,500 in the first quarter of this year represented an average 31.5% return as a percentage of the overall purchase price. So, you take these numbers and you break them down a little bit. At the end of the day, what this information, what this report has really shown me, it's talking about San Jose, which is 84%, San Francisco, 70%, Seattle, 63%, Modesto, 59%, Salt Lake City, Utah, 56%. What this really tells me is in some of these areas, you're going to see a lot of margin. In other areas, you're going to see a cooling off effect. What you really need to do, and we'll talk about this with Andre, is understand who your team members are and get fed all of the local information, all the local data that you need to make smart decisions. So that when you read stuff like this, you can put it into context and you can use it as an overarching, okay, here's what I should maybe be feeling about the market in this area, but here's what's really going on, and here's where I can really make some money. And that's the name of the game right now. The name of the game isn't just to buy everything that you can because it's a hot market. The name of the game is to be very intentional and to use the resources at your disposal, like the resources on thinkrealty.com, and of course, some of your strategic partnerships to get better deals and to make more money. Let's go ahead and welcome Andre to the show. Andre, welcome to the Think Realty Podcast.
Hey, Abhi. Thanks for having me.
You got it. So you've been an investor for about 20 years, and we're talking about strategic partnerships and how one shouldn't do everything by themselves. Otherwise, you'll end up with as much gray hair as I do. And believe me, it's going to go gray very soon. And give us a little background on who you are and what you do.
Okay, I've been investing now for about 20 years. I started, just like a lot of people, getting information, infomercials, and getting books and back in the day tapes. And so I had a friend, Abhi, who was a very similar background to myself, graduated with an engineering degree. We work at the same company. And this friend, he bought his first home. It was a 2-unit apartment. Okay, I bought my first home, a single unit townhouse. He'd always brag how he had his tenant upstairs paying for his rent and mortgage. He was living rent and mortgage free. Wanted to buy more properties like that so he could have more cash flow coming in. Because what's better than having the house you're living in and not having to pay for the mortgage because the tenant's paying for it? Well, having more properties like that where tenants are, kicking off cash flow. And so long story short, he wanted me to partner with him, joint venture partner, because his credit was not good and mine was good. And, it took me about 18 months to eventually get into a deal because he brought me deal after deal after deal. And I just kept finding reasons, Abhi, why that deal wasn't the perfect deal to be my first deal, right? And you know what? 20 years later, guess what? I'm still looking for that perfect deal.
Of course,
So
right.
there
That
are no
happens.
deals out there.
All right.
No
I mean, there are a lot of
deals out there.
engineers that fall into this category, right? Like I'm an electrical engineer by trade, and I'm designed to look for worst case scenario, right? And then to fix worst case scenario. What's the worst that can happen? And then sometimes you never take action because you're only looking for that thing.
Right. And so 18 months later, this friend who turned into a mentor, he actually helped me get my first 6 properties because he told me he didn't need me anymore as a partner. You know, he had already fixed and flipped about 15 houses at that point. So yes, he helped me get my first 6 properties in the Wilmington area in 2001. And I've never looked back. I used some of the same joint venture and partnering strategies that he helped me to use to get my first 6 properties, moved back to Maryland where I'm from, and then just started helping investors do the same.
That's awesome. And so you started a really cool concept for a company, and it's called?
Deal Mastery.
Deal Mastery.
Deal Mastery. So Deal Mastery is all about mastering the power of 4, the 4 Fs: find, fund, fix, and flip property. Now you can flip property to a buyer, you can flip property to a tenant, and you can just flip properties and wholesaling properties. But the name of the game is to try to master all of those 4 elements in real estate: find, fund, fix, and flip. Now, unfortunately, none of us actually get to that ideal of mastering all of those components. Again, the power of 4: find, fund, fix, and flip. So as a new investor and as an investor that has experience that's trying to grow your business, you're always best served to pick a lane and then try to master that one lane. So if you're great at finding deals, then just master and dominate that. Then you'll have all the opportunity to flip properties, to wholesale them, to joint venture with people in different ways. But just find one area of real estate, do it very well, and then leverage other people's expertise, to do the other things.
Find, fund, fix, and flip. I like that. The 4 Fs.
Power of 4. It's the power of 4, Abhi.
The power of 4, not the 4 Fs, the power of 4. It's kind of like, was it earth, wind, fire, and water, right? And then there was something else, I think, I can't remember what the 5th power was, maybe land or earth or space or vortex or something. But where do I get started with all this? Because sometimes as a new investor, I'm going to feel overwhelmed with, okay, well, I got to find a deal. All right, then I have to fund a deal. But what if my credit isn't good enough? Then I have to take on a JV partner. And then you're telling me I have to fix the deal and I have to renovate it? I mean, I suck at that kind of stuff, right? And then I have to flip it either to a retail buyer, like you said, or to my tenant, or to a wholesaler, or to another flipper. And it just seems like a lot of work. Help me kind of break some of these down. When it comes to finding deals, what are some of your best strategies on how to do that?
Okay, so when you're looking to get started in this business, don't try to do everything. Don't try to start out with a marketing plan that is direct mail and door hangers and.
I thought yellow letters was the way to go. What happened? Yellow letters, no door hangers? I mean, you're killing my mojo here, man.
No, you just pick one marketing strategy, okay? And a lot of people are starting with a small marketing budget. So nowadays, Abhi, there's so much availability of phone numbers out there online, databases where you can pull a targeted list. So for me, the type of seller that's been the most productive and profitable for me is a vacant house owner. So just start with a vacant house list. Make sure you get phone numbers for that particular vacant house owner. And then pick up the phone and call them. You can make sure they're not on the do not call list, but just pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, I'm interested in buying your property. I'm an investor. I buy all cash. No need to make repairs. Are you interested in selling your house? Yep. And you'd be surprised. You make enough of those calls and you will get someone interested in selling you the property.
Well, see, somebody would, I think, pay attention to you because you've got that smooth, operator voice, right? Like you got that going on. I think somebody would hang up on me. They'd be like, all right, you sound like this weird scam artist. I don't know where you're calling from. How'd you get my number? Are you an agent? What kind of sham is this? How do you get over some of those initial rejections that you get from, in this case, just pure cold calling, right? You're pretty much saying, hey, Andre, my name's Abhi. I'm looking at maybe moving into the area, or I'm also an investor. Kind of pick your story, insert your story here. Are you interested in selling your home, or do you know anybody else that's selling? What happens if, boom, or click, or the door slams shut in my face? How do I recover from that?
Well, you have to get used to rejection in this business, okay? So you're not going to pick up the phone and call 10 potentially motivated sellers and get half of them to say yes. So I like to think that most of us as adults had to do some type of telesales, retail sales. I mean, even as a kid, trying to get your mom or dad to, give you the car for the weekend when you got your license, that's sales. You're trying to convince someone to do something that they really don't want to do, right, Abhi? So at some point in time, as a teenager becoming an adult, you had to sell something, sell yourself.
Yes.
Sell yourself to a girl sell themselves to a guy. I mean, you have to sell something in relationships. Yes. So if you think of it that way, we've all been in sales. But yes. I understand it. A lot of people don't want to do cold calls. So you can hire a virtual assistant. There are people that would love to work for you for $4 to $5 an hour, right. overseas. And if you think about it, when you call customer service for your cable company or your cell phone company, a lot of times you're speaking to someone that's right. in the Philippines. So you can leverage virtual assistant, someone that may even have an MBA in the Philippines that's more than willing to be your telesales person, your customer service person, your account manager for all of your real estate activities.
That's a really smart move, especially if you're afraid of the phone, or especially if you're just new and you're kind of dipping your toe in the water and you don't want to make the 10 or 15 or 20 phone calls and you think you won't close the deal, or you think you're just a little afraid. It's not a bad idea to pay somebody, but I would also own up to that, right? And say, this is an area of my life I suck at, right? I need to get better, because you're the person eventually that's going to do the deal with this homeowner, not the person in the Philippines that you're paying the $5 an hour to. They're just calling. But right. You're the person that needs to develop the relationship, right?
Right. And so what I just articulated was that you can build your own system. You can go and hire someone from one of these virtual platforms where you hire someone overseas, or you can leverage someone's system. So for here in the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, we actually have systems that we allow our investors that come through our deals meetup to use. So we have a deal finder system where we actually have our call center doing the cold calls, sending the text messages, sending the ringless voicemails, doing the marketing follow-up. So we do those things for our investors in our community, and then they just get the qualified lead. That's just one example of, you have the choice. You can either try to do all these things and build these systems on your own, or you can leverage other people's expertise, other people's systems, other people's strategies to actually help you to get started or to take your business to the next level.
Let's talk about funding deals. And I think that's kind of important to take a look at, as it's the next power of the F, right? You got the first one, which is find, then you got to fund the deal. Where do you go to find the right capital? And you're in the DMV area. I mean, there's a lot of capital. We were just there for Think Realty Baltimore, and there's so many amazing investors in the DMV area. And for me, it's going to networking events. What's been the real good gold mine of finding the right lenders, the right private equity partners, not the ones that will charge you the 4 points and the 15%, because, quite frankly, if you're paying 4 points and 15% right now, I think you're losing the game. But where can I find the smart capital that's willing to work with me as a new investor, rather than the capital that's going to be really expensive and potentially dangerous to my long-term real estate investing business?
Okay, so I'm going to answer that question two ways. If you're new, it's difficult to convince someone without experience to trust you with their money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
If you're new, you're best off trying to align yourself with an experienced mentor or partner where you can leverage their credibility. Again, strategic partnerships. I mentioned earlier how you can leverage someone in their deal finding systems. With funding, you can leverage someone's credibility and experience to then get your friend, family, or associate to then lend you money on a joint venture project. So if you're new out there listening and have no experience, you may have a family member. You may have a friend that has $100,000 in their 401k that can be rolled over to a self-directed IRA. And these are things, of course, an experienced partner can help talk you through, walk you through in terms of communicating with your potential money partners. But it's easier when you're new to partner with someone with experience, and you can leverage their experience, their credibility, and the trust that people would have in them, and then have you be a part of that deal so that you can together leverage the private capital that's in your network. Now, let's spin that forward to someone that's already experienced. Someone that's already experienced and has a track record, Abhi, you should always be having conversations with people when you're networking at real estate functions, when you are out and about in social functions. People ask what you do. Don't just say I invest in real estate. And say I invest in real estate and I partner with people that are interested in getting involved. And just that little add-on may spark a conversation a follow-up question that person has. Well, what do you mean? How can someone partner with you? And there you go. They open the
Yep.
door. If you say that to 10 people, throughout your, networking, your social experiences, you'd be surprised how many people are intrigued and interested. A lot of people have heard of real estate investing. A lot of people would like to get involved in real estate investing. They just don't know the avenue. They don't have the trusted connection. And like I shared with you, it was a friend that turned mentor for me that helped me get my first 6 deals done. And I'm sure you could be that friend turned mentor for someone else to help them get the first deal done. And a lot of times that first deal done comes by way of money partnering or having someone be your private investor in your deal.
So 2 questions, and I'm not sure if we're going to have enough time to talk about fixing and flipping, so they're going to have to get in touch with you. So we'll offer your contact information in just a second. Sure. The 2 questions, what's a good script? Something actionable if I'm attending a networking event and I meet you, Andre, and I say, Andre, hey, my name's Abhi. I'm a new real estate investor in the DMV area, and I'm thinking about jumping in on this deal. And what are your thoughts? What do you think? Can you look it over with me? And maybe there's a way that we could partner on it. Do you have like a similar kind of script that you use? Was that a good one that I can take away and go to networking events like right now, today, and dominate that room and connect with lenders like you if you're there?
Well, it's a funny thing because Abhi, everyone's goals are different. So I run a deals meetup where 150 to 200 people come, every first Wednesday. In fact, we have a meeting tonight. Yep. So one of the things you can say when you're networking is that, like I just said, tell people what you do. Hey, my name is Andre. I own this company, Deal Mastery. We invest in real estate projects in the DMV, and we help others, to invest in real estate as well. And if you'd be interested in learning more, I'd certainly be interested in talking to you about your investing goals. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you don't want to come across as being hard salesy. If someone's interested in sharing their investing goals with you, and if you have a genuine interest in helping them, spending 10 to 15 minutes on a phone call can go a long way. And it could establish that trust, that foundation for you to have a relationship with that person. And that's pretty much has gotten me a lot of opportunities to talk to a lot of good people that have turned into private investors for me and my business.
Last question for you. If, let's say you and I partner on a deal and I'm new and you're experienced, I suppose there would be a part A and a part B to this question. Part A is, if I'm new, what profit percentage should I expect to give up because I'm bringing you onto the deal, your experience, your knowledge, potential capital, potential access to capital through preferred lenders that you have? What percentage would you recommend real quick?
Well, I'd say this. I mean, if you're new, just getting started, the tuition that you would pay to have someone walk and talk you through a deal, for you to look over their shoulder, is priceless and valuable. So I would recommend anyone that has a deal, if you can get an experienced, trustworthy person in your marketplace, to walk you through a deal, leverage their resources, the find, fund, fix, and flip resources to execute, then if you got any return, that's a good return. Because a lot of people are paying Abhi $45,000, $50,000 for coaching programs where they don't actually invest in real estate.
Right. No, it starts with the 50,000. So this is what drives me crazy, right? They'll invest the 50,000, and then the presenter has the nerve to say, well, day one is let's teach you how to invest with no money because they just took all your money. Right? So now you have to invest with no money, and that's the first thing they're going to teach you. I don't get it. All right, so part B to this question is, if I'm an experienced investor, you're an experienced investor, we're looking at taking down a bigger deal. I have some skin in the game. I have like maybe 10% skin in the game, and let's say you bring 30 or 40% skin in the game. Does it still make sense to maybe split 50-50? Should you get more? Should I get less? Should I get more? Should you get less? Just in 15 seconds or less, kind of help me put a little color to that.
Okay, so the actual splits, it's going to be case by case. I mean, who is doing what?
Sure.
Are you signing for a loan? Is someone signing a personal guarantee? The bottom line is there's no hard set rules. When you go into a partnership, you just want to understand and have a good relationship with your partners. Make sure you understand and delineate roles and responsibilities. And then, Abhi, relationships are worth much more than specific profit shares on one deal. They can last a lifetime. That is relationships. So don't go in short-sighted trying to squeeze all the juice out of the berry of one deal. Look at these relationships and partnerships as lifelong and the lifetime value of that relationship. And I assure you, it'll turn out better that way.
Last question. If you were to take one of the two things, if you were to take $5 million today, or you've been an investor for 20 years, right?
That's correct.
And if you were to take all the resources that you have right now as a result of being an investor for 20 years, and if I said, okay, Andre, here's the $5 million, right? I'll write you a check for $5 million right now. You take the $5 million, or will you take the resources that you have? Which one will you pick?
Of course, the resources. It just underscores what I just said. The lifetime value of the relationships I've created in this business, you can make that 5 million multifold over. I mean, so it's,
like
if you told me I had to get rid of all my relationships, all my resources, you gave me, $10 million, I'd say no. I mean, there's no price on that. Again, they're priceless. Reputation, relationships, they last a lifetime.
It's a winner. So the power of four, the power of F. Find, fund, fix, flip. Find, fund, fix, flip. That's right. Andre, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it. What's the best way that our viewers and listeners can get in touch with you if they just want to interact and say, hey?
Well, they can go to dealsmeetup.com. I mean, Think Realty's been so good to us. Think Realty's been sponsoring our Deals Meetup here in the DMV area for the last year.
Yep.
We have helped supported the Think Realty Expo in the Baltimore area by hosting the bus tour. And if you go to dealsmeetup.com, you'll see deals available in the DMV area. You'll see opportunities to connect with us. You'll see opportunities to get private money. So again, dealsmeetup.com is a way to get in touch with me, and we'd love to talk to you about your investing goals.
Awesome. Andre, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Abhi, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Hey, you got it. Think Realty Nation, we got two more awesome segments coming up you don't want to miss. I've learned a lot today, especially from Andre so far, and it's you got to find them. You got to fund them, you got to fix them, and then you got to flip them. And in every step of the way, there are people that will come into your life to help you with this. And if you're new and you're just starting out and you don't have these resources yet, be vulnerable, shake hands, practice in front of the mirror. This is what I used to do. I used to adjust my glasses, even the same way I'm doing it right now. I used to look in the mirror and I used to practice the script over and over and over and over and over again. And that's how you get good. Stick around. You're a homeowner, you like to DIY everything in your home. I don't, and I mean, quite frankly, I think it's a waste of time. But I understand DIY. You want to get your hands dirty, you want to feel like you accomplished something. Well, Porch.com did a survey, and they found, do you know what the #1 costliest mistake that homeowners make because they think they're going to do it themselves? Guess what it is? It's obviously not doing it the right way, but it's the flooring replacement. I don't even know how to replace a floor. I got contractors for that. But flooring replacement, when you look at a costly DIY snafu, flooring replacement reigns king. Here's some of these statistics here. Porch.com found that homeowners made mistakes typically paid about $829 more to finish their flooring project. Exterior paint was the second most costly mishap, which added a mistake cost of $447, followed by replacing an electrical outlet, and that cost $445. So before you do your next DIY project, make sure you're ultra confident in doing it right. This next segment is brought to you by Narada Real Estate Investments, your premier source for cash flow investment property. Visit them at turnkeyrealestateinvestments.com. You want to know the 10 best cities to live in America? Well, here we go. Here's your top 10 list. And Atlanta didn't make the list, surprisingly. So I'm a little concerned about this list. Thanks, Realtor.com, for not including Atlanta. But at number 10, Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. I've been to Raleigh. I love the city, and I can see why it falls in the top 10. Seattle, Washington, number 9. Portland, Oregon, number 8. San Francisco, California, number 7. So I understand San Francisco, but I'm not willing to pay the $4,000 a month that it would cost to live there just on rent. So I don't know, maybe. Minneapolis, Minnesota, they have a great network of hospital systems, et cetera, one of the best in the country. So I can see Minneapolis, except sometimes during the wintertime it gets colder than space. Number 5, Des Moines, Iowa. I'm a Big Ten guy, and I'm a Michigan guy, so yeah, Des Moines can fall off that list. Fayetteville, Arkansas, coming in at number 4. Colorado Springs, Colorado, number 3. Number 2, Denver, Colorado. Number 1, Austin, Texas. Congratulations, Austin, Texas. I hear you on that. So listen, been a good show today. If we talk about corralling the resources, we had a great conversation with Andre Johnson, and he talked about the power of F, the 4 powers of F. Number 1 is find, number 2 is fund, number 3 is fix, and number 4 is flip. If you want to get in touch with Andre, you know how to do it. Go to dealsmeetup.com. And before you do anything DIY, feel confident before doing anything. Like, I don't feel confident replacing an electrical socket. I also don't feel confident changing the tire on my car. So every time I have to do this, I go to, like, Pep Boys or something. So before you do something that's really, really extravagant on your home, get the right quotes and, pay attention. Unlike me, and I know, like, I'm the guy that's gonna take a screwdriver and, like, throw it in the electrical socket. That's like me, just because sometimes I like to be a pyromaniac. So Think Realty Nation, that's the show. You got questions, get in touch. ThinkRealty.com. We've learned a lot today. We talked to Andre Johnson, who talked about the reason that strategic partnerships are so important so that you don't find yourself doing everything. You want to get in touch with him, super easy to do it. Go to dealsmeetup.com. We also talked about DIY projects and how sometimes they can cost more to do it yourself than to hire professionals. So be uber confident and don't be like me, who thinks taking a screwdriver and playing with an electrical socket is a good idea. Bad, bad, bad. You don't want to do that. So if you've got questions, get in touch. You know how to do it, thinkrealty.com. You can find me anywhere online as well. I love answering your questions online, especially the new flood of questions that we've gotten from Instagram at Abhi Golhar. And today's podcast is brought to you by Renters Warehouse, one of the largest, fastest growing, and highest reviewed property management companies in America. So you want to check them out, go to renterswarehouse.com. Until next time, happy investing.